What's up, guys? Lucas Tornino here, and by the time this video is going up, I'm probably a bit late to the ban list. But nevertheless, I wanted to kind of make a discussion video to talk about like the state of Vanquish Soul and how like I want to build a deck moving forward into the next format, Burst Protocol. So in case somehow you haven't seen the ban list by now, they basically reverted the changes they made on the last list. They unlimited Razen and Stake, but they limited Holly Sue. This is definitely positive, a positive trade-off for the deck. The deck got 4 of its starters back. I think the biggest problem with the deck before was not its ceiling or anything like that, but more its consistency. And giving the deck back, Razen and Stake not only helps with that, but also the fact that there was only one Razen kind of made it vulnerable to like effects that banish, since Vanquish can't get really anything back from banishes. And it presented a problem like if you had Razen in your hand, you couldn't summon it off of a deck with Holly Sue. So that led to like a lot of kind of awkward instances when I tested the deck with one Stake and Razen. Now that it's at 3, I think it's actually like very well positioned going to the next format. One of the best decks going to the next format would be Draco Tail. And for anyone who played kind of like Josh format back in August, you'll know that like Vanquish Soul has a very good matchup in Draco Tail. As for the Holly Sue hit, I don't think it's that big of a deal. Sure, it kind of like limits your kind of like, I want to say sack potential going second, because less often you're going to open up kind of like an auto win. But going first, it doesn't really hinder you at all. Especially with Small World, there's still a million ways to gain access to Holly Sue, whether it's through Stake, Razen, the field spell, so on. And you really only need one Holly Sue. It's not like Razen, where it functions as a starter. And like, because you're not summoning Holly Sue off of Holly Sue, right? I don't think you legally can. Yeah, non-psychic. So having this, I'd way rather have this at 1 than Razen. You still have, a lot of room for non-engine, I would say. You can still play 3 Bell, 3 Crow, and still have like a decent consistency. So I don't think non-engine is a problem for this deck. As for, this is kind of just like a rough draft of the list. There's definitely could be optimized, but some important things I want to note on is the inclusion of Panthera. Next format, I think the format would kind of be dominated by these like kind of back row decks like Radiant Typhoon and Draco Tail, both which care about like specific like spell traps. With Draco Tail, like their traps, or Radiant Typhoon, their MSTs and stuff. I think Panthera could be good, like in theory. I haven't really put it into practice yet, but in theory it's good. It's just good being able to kind of like chip away. Like this deck, one of the struggles Vanquish Soul has is kind of struggles getting rid of back row. Like even in Jesh format at the regional, I struggle with this. Like the only way you really have to pop back row is Caesar, and that's it. So if you use Caesar on something else, and there's like a really important piece of back row, or like a continuous spell that if it resolves, they win the game, you're basically fucked. Not a lot of cards can interact with back row. That's where Panthera can come in. This card can destroy all spell traps in the card's column, revealing an earth and a fire. So this could, not only be good into those decks like Draco Tail, Arena Typhoon, but I think it's also pretty good going second. Again, it can just special itself. So if, for example, they remove your normal, and you don't want to like waste your 1 Holly Sue yet, or you want to save it for later, you can search Panthera, just summon it, and then try to go into Rock, and kind of keep playing from there. Another thing that I like to not do is main the trap. So obviously this card is extremely good. It's like one of the best like archetypal traps I think they've ever printed. But going into next format, a lot of decks have ways to kind of like clear a specific piece of back row without committing too much to the board. For example, Radiant Typhoon. That deck literally has like 15 cards that say search MST. So when they, like, for example, they can just draw phase MST target, and they're going to know where it is, right? Because start has it sets it from deck as an effect, so they're going to know where it is. So if their first play is MST target this, it kind of just feels bad, right? Because if essentially you're activating a trap that says summon a Vanquish Soul from hand and burn them for like 18 or whatever. It does protect them from being destroyed by card effects, which I guess is nice, but I don't see a reason to include it. It's, you really don't want to see in your opening hand most of the time. You more want to see those attributes. And I would just side it versus the decks that aren't basically Draco Tail or Radiant Typhoon. and don't have a lot of easy ways to get rid of it. As for Jigsaw, I didn't really explain like how it can easily get rid of it. I just feel like with Rahu, or even Ketu, even though it's at 1, even with Ketu, they can just search Urgala, and even if you do activate the Snow Devil, realistically you're popping like an Arthalion. You're not even like blowing up their entire board. Like Arthalion is like a nothing burger. They can get it back if they really want an Arthalion on the field. They can just get it back by sending 2 monsters to the grave at the same time. Like it's really not that high impact to pop an Arthalion. So I just think it's better suited in the side deck when next format I'm expecting like a lot of people to be playing Draco Tail and Radiant Typhoon. Like those might be. I feel like Draco Tail, this deck, Radiant Typhoon are definitely like the big 3 decks to watch out for going into next format. Everything else is pretty standard in the list. I'm happy Konami kind of finally came to their senses, unlimited these 2 cards, and I'm excited to play this deck for next format. Let me know in the comments if you see anything that's like a glaring flaw or anything you would change. I feel like this looks pretty good. I'm definitely going to be tinkering around a little more. But yeah, see you guys in the next one.